Chap Bettis, author of The Disciple Making Parent, and this is my audio blog where I read some of my blog posts in audio format for your convenience. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about the power of the coffee date. Well, what if I told you of one simple activity that could decrease conflict and increase unity in your home? In fact, it's actually not an exaggeration to say that this habit has been a huge blessing in my own marriage relationship. You know, when Sharon and I were starting out, we wanted to be intentional about our parenting. Thanks to some good teaching, we had a great start. But the Lord graciously added more children to our family every 2 years. So with our children 6, 4, 2, and newborn, we were starting to disagree more and more. As we stepped back and analyzed it, we realized that while the issues were becoming more complex, our time and energy to discuss them was actually decreasing. You know, earlier we used to discuss certain issues over dinner or before we went to bed, but now we could barely get a word in at dinner and we were collapsing into bed at night. Well, it was about that time that a friend shared a plan that had helped his family, and indeed I found that it was a lifesaver for us. It was a regular coffee date. For years, Sharon and I had a regular coffee date, and I look back on this as one of the best investments in our marriage. Setting aside this time enabled me to hear my wife's heart, listen to what she was dealing with at home, and chart plans for us in the future. Well, think about this a little with me. You know, I've served for 30 years as a pastor with other elders. What helps us shepherd the flock together? Regular meetings of the shepherds. This habitual time enables and causes us to think about the status of the church as a whole and of individual sheep. It allows the full-time pastors to get the input of those who are not, and it quote-unquote forces the non-vocational pastors to think about the status of the church. Well, what I want to suggest is that you and your wife are shepherds of your own little flock. Men, you're supposed to be leading this flock while delegating much of the day-to-day responsibility to her. How will you regularly keep aware of the issues? How will she regularly feel your support? Well, I want to suggest it's through regular meetings. While I know that every couple doesn't have to do this, I do know that many couples would benefit from it. Well, let's talk now a little bit about the how-to. Here are some of the details that helped us. First, we had a small notebook in the kitchen to write down the things we wanted to talk about on this date. There were several benefits to that. First, it allowed both of us to write down decisions we needed to make or problems we needed to talk about. For example, if we saw a new behavior pattern in one of the children, we didn't have to bring it up in the moment where the child was being disciplined. We could just write it down to be talked about later. A second benefit was it allowed both of us to preview the list before we went out. And this meant that if we were going to talk about a touchy subject, well, at least we had some warning to steel ourselves for it. And let me just update this blog post. Since then, now my wife and I use the shared note feature on our Apple iPhone. That's how we did it years ago, but now Sharon and I have a note on each of our iPhones that we share, and it's there that we write down things that we need to talk about. So we still use this notebook idea even years after the children are out of the house. So number one, we had a small notebook to write down things we wanted to talk about. Number two, we had the day marked regularly in our calendar. At times it was weekly, other times it was every 2 weeks. This meant that it didn't get squeezed out by the other activities. Or if it did get replaced, at least we realized it. So number two, we had the day marked out. Number three, we went out for coffee. For a babysitter, we had a family who lived next door who would walk to us. We were blessed that way. But if the babysitter is a logistical or financial challenge, I would encourage you to consider trading off babysitting with another couple. You see, it was important for us to get out of the house, to remind ourselves physically that we were mom and dad and the kids stayed at home. So number three, we went out for coffee. Number four, we started with prayer. When we went out, We prayed together in the car to start our evening. And true confession, there were some times we were so tired that we actually fell asleep in the car as we were trying to pray. Number 5, we went in and we talked through our notebook. So after we'd prayed in the car, we talked through our notebook. So in the coffee shop, I took the lead to go over the things on our list to talk about. We tried to leave with decisions made or plans made on all the things on our list. Well, what are the benefits? This regular coffee date had numerous benefits. It pulled my focus back into the family. And it reminded me that I was the dad leading the family, not just a pastor. And it pulled Sharon's focus off of the children and back on me. It reminded her she was a wife, not just a mom. And it sent a message to the children that mom and dad care for each other and are taking time for their relationship. Well, over the years, the frequency changed as the schedules changed, but the essence was still there. So, does every couple need to follow this pattern? Well, obviously not. But many family shepherds would benefit from this routine. Just as church shepherds benefit from regularly meeting, so family shepherds need to sit down and discuss how their sheep are doing. I'd encourage you to try it. I think you'll be surprised at the benefit. Today's post is included in our material, Parenting with Confidence. It's a 7-lesson video-driven study. You can find it at parentingwithconfidencestudy.com or just visit our website at thedisciplemakingparent.com. I'm Chap Bettis. Thanks for listening.